And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
So they came out with Descent 2.0, which I've already reviewed, and I said it was fantastic. I actually think it's better than Descent 1. The problem is, I have Descent, and I have my Manly case here, which is full of Descent stuff. How am I supposed to use all that in Descent 2.0? Well, I heard they were coming out with a conversion kit. What's that going to look like? Well, actually, it looks like this. It's quite small, the box. I've already emptied it of cards. This conversion kit allows you to use all the monsters and all the heroes from Descent 1 and its expansions in Descent 2.0. Now, that's good enough. Now, the tiles, the dice, almost everything else from Descent 1 is useless. But the most important part, the part that you paid the money for, the monsters and the plastic heroes, you'll be able to use. So I think this is a great thing to get, obviously, because it's a win-win. If you've never bought those, you can still get this and use the heroes, just use different models. If you can even probably find other monster figures to use for the monsters, although that would be harder and less thematic. So that's a win. And if you own all that stuff, then at least it's not going to waste. You'll be able to use it. Because I doubt very many people are going to still play Descent in a year or two. We'll all be in Descent 2.0, and we have this box to help make the conversion easy. Not to mention, I'm starting Descent 2.0 with a ton of monsters. Look at this. I've managed to get all the heroes and monsters for Descent into the new box. I mean, it's pushing it. I don't know how many more I could fit in there, if any. But still, that's a lot of monsters. I can use the new stuff, but I can also, I can use the new Elemental. Ooh, isn't he cool? But I can also go back and use the Manticore, or I can use the original dragons, or these weird things that came out later on. I mean, I have all this stuff that I can use, and that's great because that gives me a huge variety, especially as I'm someone who likes to play the Dungeon Master. But even the heroes, there's a whole lot more heroes that I can use now. Let's start with the heroes. Here's two examples of, this is an older card, the one on the bottom, and you can tell, the new card, it just has a much snappier design, it just kind of zings at you. But Andira Runehand, and you can see her here, and you can see that her stats, she had 12 health, still 12 health, 4 movement, still 4 movement, 4 fatigue, still 4 fatigue, 1 armor, well she rolls the armor die now. But here she if she was making a magic attack on an adjacent enemy, she had Pierce 2. Now, each time she suffers 1 or more hit points from an adjacent figure, that figure also suffers 1 hit point, and then she has a new heroic feat. And then she has these stats down here, which kind of correlate to everything else that she started with. So, it's a very different character, really. She plays differently, but then you got to remember that she's a different subtype, too. She's the mage subtype, and that works. On the other hand, Vyra the Falconer is pretty much the same. Now, his health actually drops in the new version, but he still has Sky, and I have to say their way of using Sky as a familiar and using the other familiars that came, there's a couple familiars that come in this expansion, is much improved over the original game. And then we have characters that are very similar. Valricus the Dead here, you can see the artwork, by the way, is the same, has very similar stats, although his health dropped from 16 to 12. At the start of your turn, recover 1 fatigue. At the start of his turn, he recovers 1 fatigue. So he has pretty much the exact same special ability. And this is great because this, you have so many of these to go through. And you have all the ones from the original game and from the expansion. They even gave you the promo characters, and they also gave you the cards that came in Dungeon Quest. I don't even have those figures, and I can still use them in my game. So there's a lot of new heroes in the game. Now let's take a look at the monster cards. Now, I don't have the original monster cards from Descent anymore. I stopped using those a long time ago when I started playing Road to Legend. So I'm comparing them to the weakest from Road to Legend. But you can see here that the troll here had Reach and Bash, and Sweep, and still has Reach, Bash, and Sweep, and it's pretty much the same stats. with the same kind of dice. The troll here feels exactly the same, except unlike the original cards, remember the new ones, you can turn them over and it shows all their special abilities. Here we have the Medusa, who had stun and quick shot. Now she has poison, stun, and immobilize. And so she has changed dramatically compared to the troll, who's very similar. The Deep Elf here had stealthy, pierce 2, and now can use a surge. Other than that, pretty much the same with good armor. Then we have the Ice Worm, which had that swallow effect. Still has the swallow effect, although it's a little bit different in this game. And they both have freezing, but this one has reach. The original one didn't have reach. And then the Giant, who actually, I think, went to be a much more scary dude in this one. You say, well, the stats are very similar. Yeah, but all the stats of the new monsters have dropped down dramatically. The Giants have not. And that's the way you'll find with a lot of the characters. One of the characters who I think got a huge upgrade was the Golem. The Golem used to be a monster that was like, oh, he's strong, well, it's hard to hurt him, but he's not going to do anything to us. That no longer is the case, where he rolls a red and blue die, and he can hit you for even more points on a surge. But he's not the only monster in the set. All the old monsters, the Lava Beetle, the Kobolds, the Ferox, the Crypt Dragon, everyone's favorite, the Beast Man is back. And Ogres, and Nagas, and Razorwings, and Manticores. And so all the old monsters that you liked are back in this set. So that's it. I'm not going to drag this review out. There's all the old monsters and all the old heroes, and you can use them all in your new game. That alone should make you go out and buy it. So there you go. Go get it. Stop listening. Turn this off. Stop.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.